The Workaround. This is a series I mentioned a couple of daily SPGs ago. We've been working on getting Where the Mangoes Have Gone Out book, so my designer has been really tied up. But here's the basics of what the workaround will look like on the Catalyst. The first one's going to be the Banyan on Central. I'm going to announce that today, but this is the general framework. We're looking at adding all these great stats: phone, hours, Wi-Fi speed, password, etc., map, website, and then we'll have some multiple photos and the logo. So that's that design will get accepted and done today, and hopefully built, and we'll hopefully get the first one of these launched later this week, which is good. Also sent out a few more proposals today. Let you know how those go. Should hear back. I know one of them's a board meeting on Wednesday. Speaking of board meetings, today Seed Funders had their annual board meeting, and we elected a new board. I will be on the board of Seed Funders for the next year, which is great. It's a good group. Jeff Austin, Irv Cohen, Dave Chittister, and Ruth Ross will be joining me for our 5-member board. Got a lot of work to do. We're having a big partners meeting, profiling 2 companies, Polar Controller and SafeZone, which are 2 of our investments from the last year. We'll be at 400 Beach at Steve Westfall's place. They'll be presenting, and we'll be announcing some of the big changes we have to the Catalyst Fund. As we've raised money for the Catalyst Fund, a lot of people have really asked that it mimics some of the features that the partners have. The partners, we meet every Monday for about 2 hours, and it's amazing. We get 15 to 18 of our 25 or so partners show up, really great minds, senior execs, and we run through startups and talk about St. Pete and the area in Tampa Bay and how we can make it better. And it's just fantastic to get this level of people to show up every single week to these meetings. Props and thanks to Bank OZK for hosting us. They've been really generous with giving us their great conference room in the Innovation Lab. And so we want to take that to the fund as well. So we're going to go for monthly meetings for people who are in the fund. We're going to push some of our presentations and our pitches to those monthly meetings. So we expect to have at least 2 companies pitching in those monthly meetings, and then people who are in the fund can be involved in the due diligence process, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of cool changes at Seed Funders coming up, including a couple of new partnerships, and in addition to the Thai partnership that we announced. Had a great Catalyst meeting today with the staff. We're getting heavier into Instagram and being better at hashtagging and putting more content out. Jake Kent has been working with Gina and Kira and Megan to give us some great advice on how to grow our social presence. And it's about 5 or so right now. I'm getting ready to head over to the Mirror Lake Library, where Bill DeYoung is having a book reading for his book that we put out on St. Pete Press, I Need to Know. It's a fantastic collection of his interviews from when he was up at Gainesville. Got a lot of Tom Petty, a lot of great names in there. So I'm excited to go support him and talk about St. Pete Press. And George Fleming, who has another book out with us as well, will be there, and we're going to give him a little love too. Friday was really good. Ruben Pressman also was on the panel. That was at Rising Tide, for those of you who watched the last edition. So it was Sue Goodman, Ruben, and myself, and Mark Lombardi Nelson moderated. We had some great questions, some good answers, had some agreed on a lot of stuff, disagreed on a couple of things, which is always cool to get some different perspectives. Jake did film that whole thing, so we will get that out to you in the near future, I believe, and maybe a few clips even in this daily. So I'm going to take the GoPro with me over to the event and give you a little bit of that for some day in the life, and then we'll continue our conversation tomorrow. Don't get to the point where you're running out of money before you take money. It obviously puts you in a weakened position, so look ahead. That's what a good business owner and operator should do. And the old adage is that if you ask for money, you get advice, and if you ask for advice, you get money. And that's actually a nice thing, because the people that are helping you and understanding you and getting to know you and want to help you in that way are the people you want to get the money from. So go and look for advice well before you need the money, and you're off in the right direction.